say it all the time, and people get mad at me all the time. I'm like, listen, man, I know cops. Because of my martial arts background, I grew up with cops. I was around cops from the moment I was a young teenager all throughout my adult life because of martial arts, because so many cops train in martial arts to protect themselves. And they're good people for the most part, like all people. Most people are good people for the most part, but good people that are forced into jobs that have horrific pressures attached to them and horrific consequences if anything goes wrong.
And paid very little.
Yes, and they're under just unbelievable stress, and they make terrible errors because of that stress. And then someone gets a cell phone video of that, and they post someone planting a gun or doing this, and then everyone thinks all cops do that.
No, and you cannot shoot the wrong guy.
Right.
You cannot ever risk doing that.
Yes. I watched a horrible video the other day.
So they're shooting at you, but you can't really just shoot back because what if you hit a kid? Right. Well,
that was what I saw. It was a horrible video of a grandson, this very troubled grandson who pulled a knife on his grandfather. And while the cops were there, he went to stab the grandfather, and the cops opened fire on the kid and shot the grandfather too. Killed both of them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And in the police post, this was all about, understanding about accuracy and when to shoot and when to intervene. And it's sort of a step-by-step breakdown for other officers so they can sort of look at this.
There's a great video on my channel with a retired cop named Kevin Donaldson. It's a great story about PTSD of being a cop and what the aftermath of all that is.
Can't even imagine what their minds must be like when, especially someone who works in a horrible neighborhood where you're constantly dealing with that. And the things that they see, like they're constantly seeing murder, constantly seeing car accidents, constantly seeing overdose, constantly seeing physical abuse, sexual abuse, rape, torture, you name it.
And you're married and you come home to your wife and like, how was your day, honey?
Yeah, and you're in Simi Valley with your kids just trying to stay calm, and then, you hear fuck the police, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. It's a horrible job.
It's, and any support for them always gets, shit on. But I think about them the same way I'm thinking about you. I think prolonged exposure to the most horrific elements of society is got to, we sort of formulate our idea what the world is based on what we've encountered. And, if you've encountered nothing but a beautiful neighborhood and nice families and everybody's friendly and you go to the football game and everybody cheers, yay, this is life for you. But if you're experiencing what you're experiencing, you're talking to people on Skid Row on a day in, day out basis, what does that affect? How are your dreams? Do you have nightmares?
I don't remember my dreams. I sleep really well. But I'll tell you this, I've called this project a crash course in empathy. Because when I first started, like I said, I would look at these people just get a job.
Right.
A bunch of lazy losers that won't get a job.
Right.
And then after hearing story after story after story, I see oh, now I get it.
People are sort of
you can't.
When people are developing and growing, there's certain things that happen to them that are very hard to unfuck. And when things go sideways and their life is fucked, trying to bring them back to a place where you are, or a place where I am, where someone who didn't have those things happen to them as a child, that is an enormous task.
Yeah.
It's almost insurmountable.
I don't think it's even possible. You can just prop them up a little bit so they're better, but they're never going to, there are some that do it, but those people that have really recovered and have gone on to do great things were people who kind of were doing great things before, but then they got caught up with cocaine and then they pulled themselves out.
So it seems like to me, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, is the only way to fix this is to fix the areas in which this is prevalent and to somehow or another pump money and resources into community centers and education and giving people some kind of hope, giving people some, and then even then, you're just going to make less of it.
Yeah.
You're not going to eliminate it entirely. But it's a generational problem that could take decades upon decades to really put a dent in it. but it's a task that's worth doing, and no one is approaching this. When politicians are sending billions of dollars overseas and billions of dollars on projects that a lot of people don't even agree to, and it's our tax money, and nothing is being spent.
No, if you want to save our country, this is the way to do it.
Yes.
I mean, why are we looking at doing all these crazy things in other countries, or going to the Mars or wherever we're thinking? How about right here in our own backyard?
Yes. Yeah. How about fixing places like the South Side of Chicago and Detroit and Baltimore?
And the way to do that, I believe, is providing hope for those families. And it's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen in a generation.
Right. Exactly.
And no one's got the patience for it, because whatever work you're going to put in, whatever money you're going to put in, and energy and effort, you won't see in your lifetime.
I had a conversation with some friends about this last night, and they were saying, but would the country even run the same way if that happened? Because don't you need all these poor and disenfranchised people to have the country work the way it works? And I'm like, yeah, but the country doesn't have to work the way it works. This is just the way it works right now. It's not like it wouldn't work another way.
Well, you know what's interesting is, the universe, nature, even the human body regulates. That's what it does. When something's out of balance, it'll figure out, and it'll find it's like the seesaw. It'll eventually balance out. So we have a preponderance of down and out broken people on the streets, living in boxes and tents, addicted to drugs. And we've also got this the billionaires and the multi-millionaires. And they're both existing on the two extremes. Right. And good luck getting the rich to say, all right, we're going to give away a third of our money so that we can help these people.
Well, they don't have any faith in it. They also think that, when I talk to people about this that are very wealthy, they have a problem with charities that most of the money actually winds up going to administrative costs. Yeah. And very little of it actually goes to the people. And then you find out that people that are working on the homeless situation. I have a friend, Colion Noir, who was a lawyer, and he was in San Francisco, and his perspective was, they're not spending enough money to fix this homeless problem. And then he talked to someone who is actually deeply embedded in that situation. He said, no. That's not the problem. They are spending a lot of money on it, but the money is going to these people that get high salaries that work on the homeless problem. And he showed us a spreadsheet of all these people, and it's six-figure salaries, some of them $250,000 a year. And it's a lot of them that are handling the homeless situation in Los Angeles and the homeless situation in San Francisco. And there's no incentive to fix it. The budget goes up every year. The homeless problem goes up every year. There's no accountability. There's no, hey, we've spent all this money and the problem is bigger and you guys keep getting raises. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It becomes an industry. And then fixing the homeless, like if you look at the actual budget for dealing with pull up the budget for dealing with the homeless in Los Angeles in 2022, because it's bonkers when you see the sheer amount of money that's being spent ineffectively. And all anybody seems to care about is, we're working hard to mitigate the homeless situation, and we have upped our budget, and we're like, they've upped the budget. This is great. And you think, that must be effective. Yeah. We're going to fix this. But nothing gets done.
No, it's a big problem.
I think the big number was for California, not just for Los Angeles.
Let's get the California
7.2 billion.
7.2 billion just for homeless.
I would think with that, you could clean up Tenderloin in San Francisco and L.A.
3.3 billion general fund in 21-22 to almost 30 homelessness-related programs across the state. That is so much money. And yet the problem gets bigger and bigger every year. Yeah. And I
think the problem, I was talking about the layers, you keep peeling them back. When you peel back the last layer, it's human greed. Human greed is the problem.
But also, what can be done? Like when you think about what are the strategies that these people are employing? Shelters, food stamps, this and that, counseling. These are like Band-Aids on gunshot wounds.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid on cancer.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good
that's all it is.
Description.
No, but I think if we Like here, just look at what's taught in schools. They're teaching trigonometry and algebra and all these things when everyone's got a cell phone in their pocket. You don't need to be learning trigonometry anymore. If you're going to become an engineer, then study trigonometry in college, but you don't need to be teaching it in high school. They should be teaching human interaction, how to raise children, like all these skills that we're using on a daily basis.
They should talk about empathy too, and how important it is, and kindness, and how it's not just good for the person you're kind to; it's actually good for you.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. I mean that's why I feel okay with giving away so much money, because I know that it benefits me.
Yeah,
like that's what people don't understand about hate, whether it's hate on social media or hate in general or racism or just
all the above,
all the above,
yeah,
any form of negativity and hate and judgment. What people don't realize about that, if I'm hating you, it hurts me.
Yes.
It doesn't hurt you.
Right.
You don't give a fuck if I hate you or not. You're
it hurts my feelings if you say it to me.
Yeah, but
mostly you're carrying it around. It's like
it's hurting me.
What is that expression?
My blood pressure is up. My peace of mind is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting around distracted about how pissed off I am at you.
Yeah.
It's like, what a horrible way to go through life.
Yeah, there's an old expression about hate that it's a poison that kills the vessel that's holding it.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
It does. We're not told that. We're told, revenge is being told. We were talking about Marcus Aurelius the other day. That Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome 2,000 years ago, was talking about empathy and talking about how important it is to forgive people. Like there's this brilliant Stoic philosopher thousands of years ago when people hacking each other to death with swords and arrows and shit, and this guy was trying to see through it as a leader.
Yeah. And
it's the rarest of rare of people that lead like that really genuinely have this perspective like humanity can do better and we should strive to do better. And he was striving to do better in his own personal life, and that was what Meditations was all about, his book.
Yeah. No, that's what I try to do with my videos. My idea was I'm going to present these ideas. I could write an article saying, you need to raise our kids better. We need to be better parents, better role models, and we'll have a better outcome with these kids. Nobody's going to read that article.
Yeah.
But if I put out some entertaining videos that how many people are watching, you'll learn the lesson, which is how important that childhood is to provide that kid with unconditional love. Not love. Not love. Love is bullshit. Unconditional love. Everything else is some disguised bullshit. Because you can have a parent who, I love you if you get good grades. I'll love you if you stay out of jail. I love you if you're not gay. I'll love you if you're whatever.
Right.
Like the way my mom loved me. She passed away a couple of years ago, but give me a second. Like I could have been gay. I could have been in jail. I could have been flunking out of school. Could have been mean to her. I could have been anything. And I know that she would have loved me the exact same way.
Yeah.
And because she did,
you're the person you are.
I wanted to make her proud.
Yeah.
I still do. I think this project is just an homage to her.
Well, you're very fortunate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that had a mom like mine. And my dad was great, too. Not as great, but my dad was really great. My dad came from absolute shit.
Well, all of our parents came from a different era, too. We have to take that into consideration.
That's a great point. I mean, look at how so many people in this new generation are looking for the easy lick, the shortcut, the hack, the easy way to get rich or do whatever.
Right.
They want the fast buck.
Right.
Look at anybody who's done anything great in our world. In the 1900s, in the 1800s, in the 1700s, from the beginning of time, every one of those people have a story of overcoming great adversity and working harder than you can even imagine. They're amazing stories of perseverance, of courage, of all these things that nobody seems to want to do now.
Yeah. Well, they're not taught that that's something you should strive for. And when there are these options that are available, like becoming a TikTok star or becoming, there's these things that are available that are so simple that you see 17-year-olds making millions of dollars and you're like, well, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to struggle.
That's more attractive.
Yeah. And there's not enough emphasis on the fact that in doing difficult things, you learn about yourself. And then this thing that you can create that's hard to create, that takes a long time, is immensely satisfying, as opposed to winning the lottery, which is what everybody wants to do, which is just, for the most part, when it happens to people, it kind of upturns their life.
Well, I mean, you win the lottery, most of these people that are not willing to work for it, haven't put in the work for it, if they actually came upon $3 million, they would fuck it off.
Yes.
They would fuck it off because they deep down subconsciously, they know they don't deserve it.
Which is so strange that we have this sort of watermark in our mind of what our value is. And anything that goes above that, we try to bring that water back down to where it was.
Absolutely. No, like when two people are romantically involved and, you know, a guy and a girl meet or whatever, two people meet. If if you rated self-worth on a scale from 1 to 10, if one of them's an 8 and the other one's a 5, there's no chance in hell it'll ever work out.
Right. Unless that 5 gets their shit together.
Yeah, but that's so hard to do.
So hard to do.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah. Generally, like 2 5s can become an 8 if they grow together. But they have to like really love each other and be friends.
They can have
work together.
They can have their bipolar heaven or whatever.
Well, I've seen a lot of really successful couples that like lose hundreds of pounds together, and there's a lot of that on social media that I think is very inspiring. When people
absolutely. Yeah.
do get their life in order.
No, and that would bond people better than anything.
Yes, right? Yes, and it seems to do that. You know,
Yeah.
but one of the things that I noticed on your channel is there's a lot of couples that are addicted together.
Yeah,
you have these fentanyl addict couples, which is so heartbreaking.
No,